Big trading day yesterday for the long side. We are still doing our research, but I want to show you the difference between the micros and the minis for algorithmic trading system. Here is the exact same system, Tick Pulse V12. It uses a limit order, and so it places a limit order to get in on the next bar at the close of the current bar minus half a point on a limit. And so if it gets in at this price right here, the close of the 1001 bar is 12,002.75. So the limit order would be, if the other conditions are met, to buy at 12,002.25, which is what happened. 12,002.25 is the entry price for Tick Pulse V12 yesterday. Barely stopped out, just barely stopped out, and down on the day. This is 18 micros, so down, this is $600 stop loss per E-mini, 18 micros, minus 1,080. The difference was in the E-mini. So this is the micro. So let's take a look at the E-mini trade yesterday. So here is the Nasdaq setup, that Nasdaq strategy setups that we're looking at yesterday, and the biggest day of the month yesterday. And let's show you Tick Pulse V12 right here. So this got in at a different price. Why did it get in at a different price? Why were the results different between the micros and the minis? And so you can see right here at 10 o'clock there was a signal issued to get in at the close minus 0.5 at 10 o'clock. So close is 11,955. The limit price would be 11,954.50. So let's go and see where it entered the trade. And it entered the trade at 11,954.25 because the open of that bar was 11,954.25. So it gapped down below what would have been the limit price, and so 11,954.25 at 10:01. So why did the micro not get in at that price, and why was it stopped out? So this got in at a better price, and so it wasn't stopped out on this pullback. It was just barely, there was no adverse excursion on this trade for Tick Pulse. It means that it never went lower than the entry price. And so if you tried to fill it a little bit better limit, or if you held your limit, you may have not been filled. So that was the low and the open of this bar and the low of that trade. So straight up from there, and then it surged and got out near the exact high of the day, 12,147.25. The high was 12,148.50. So really picture perfect trade on this strategy. Tick Pulse V12 has been one of our top strategies, and it is at equity peaks. Brand new equity peaks in Tick Pulse V12, but I have a new version of this as well. We're going to go over why was the result different in the micro versus the mini and the new version. 10 o'clock, the close 11,955. So let's go back to the micro and take a look. So here is the micro version again. Let's look at 10 o'clock. What happened at 10 o'clock? So the signal would be there, and the signal would be the close here on the micro is 11,954.50. So if it's going to get in at the close of the 11,954.50 minus 0.5, that would be the signal. And so let's go to the next bar and see what happened at 10:01. The low of this bar was 11,955.75. So while the E-mini gap down on that open by 0.75 points, this went up 1.25 points. The open was 11,955.75. The low was 11,955.75, and so it never traded down to that price. The condition was still there on the 10:01 bar, so it got in at 10:02 at a higher, much higher price. You see how fast this market moves. 50 points higher in almost 2 minutes. And so got in there, stopped out here. Even if it wouldn't have been stopped out there, had a bigger stop loss, or the market didn't trade lower, the profit would not have been the same, nearly the same. So what if I wrote the code to get in at the Nasdaq price if I have data 2 is, let's see, I do believe I have that. Data, edit symbol. And so when I look at the symbols, I don't have it so that it looks at the Nasdaq price for the limit order, but even if I did, it wouldn't have worked because the close of the Nasdaq was 11,955. The E-mini Nasdaq was 11,955, and so I said, okay, trade the micro based on the Nasdaq. So if I trade the micro at 11,955 minus half a point, instead of 11,954.5 minus half a point, it would get in at, it would still place that limit order for 11,954.50, and the market moved up quickly to 11,955.75. So it wouldn't have filled that limit. It would have been at the closing price, and the market would have just run from that limit. And so even if it was trying to fill it at the E-mini price instead of the micro price, and so it could rewrite the code and say, okay, if the Nasdaq would have gotten filled, and you can only do this at the end of the 1 minute bar. If the Nasdaq would have gotten filled and the micro isn't, buy at the market. So that'd be 1 minute later. You'd know that, and you'd say, okay, buy the next bar at the market. So you're in, and you're still in at 12,003. 12,003. So almost 50 points higher either way. Even if you trade on them, even if I were to trade this based on the E-mini, even at the end of the bar, if I would have compared, you can't really compare intra-bar for data 2 to see if you would have been filled. You know, in that moment, it could wiggle a lot, and so it just immediately runs up. And so even if you're using 1 second data, you're getting 10 and 20 points of higher prices on that entry. And so it's not matched very well. And so it's there are times when you get different results. Sometimes this scenario could unfold so that it works on the micro better than it works on the E-mini. And so this is detailed analysis. Let's look at the new Tick Pulse that we have as well. So there is a setting called LMT order, and that can be changed to false, and it would become a market order instead of a limit order. And so you end up getting slippage on those market orders as well. But in this case, the conditions were there right here on the Nasdaq, and so it will match if both of them use a market order. They'll both get in at the market, and so you say the conditions were there at 954. They were there at 954 on the other setup as well. This is our new Tick Pulse 2022, but the market didn't trade down half a point from that close, I believe, is why it would not have been filled at that point. So market order 11,978.75, bought at the market 11,970. So the close is 11,970, and 11,970 is where we're filled, and it would have gotten filled. The rules are slightly different for longs on this version than there are the other version as well. So this is our latest Tick Pulse 2022, and let's take a look at the performance summary for this as well. Brand new equity peaks in this strategy, and so this, I don't have this set up on the micros yet, but I'm going to work on that for the micros and the micro stock indexes. And so we'll have this strategy in the Nasdaq. E-mini and micro signals will match based on that criteria. You won't be in a scenario where the entry price would be that different between the two. They could be slightly different, but shouldn't be that different between the two. So I wanted to share that with you, the differences between micros and minis and our latest version of Tick Pulse algorithms. We'll make some other videos on the portfolio calculator today, as well as some new strategies that we're looking at as we continue to do research. Hey, David Bean here. Welcome to Capstone Trading Systems YouTube page. Be sure to subscribe to join our community of algorithmic traders. We are real money traders. We share our winning streaks, we share our losing streaks, as well as market updates, strategies, and coding tips.